Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to use the REST destination in Vizlib's writeback table and integrate that with Qlik Automations on Qlik SaaS, and possibly spark some new innovative ways to work with Vizlib's awesome writeback capabilities. If you're new here, my name's Jason. I'm the head of Innovation and Technologies at Modernizing Management based here in South Africa. And on this channel, we explore tips and tricks for Qlik and its ecosystem products. What I'm going to be showing you today will be done on Qlik SaaS, but don't worry, there will be a part 2, hopefully soon, and I will show you how to do the exact same thing with Qlik Sense Client Managed and Node-RED. Just a tip, go subscribe so you don't miss that. In this example, I have some music loaded into a Qlik application, and I want to provide a star rating for the albums that I listened to so that I can actually group those albums based on that rating I gave it. But hold on, what is REST? Isn't that something to do with APIs? Don't I require any coding skills? Isn't this going to be too complicated? No, not at all. If you've got some basic to intermediate Qlik development skills, this will be no issue for you at all. Link in the description below to the sample application and data that you can use to follow along with. Okay, with all that said and done, let's go ahead and jump right into the application. So what we got here is some music data loaded into a Qlik Sense application. We've got artist, album, genre. He's using the track data to sort of link the genre in that. But what we have is this rating data, which is blank. And we want to go and populate this now using the Vizlib writeback capabilities. So let me show you how to do that. And then we have our front-end application, where we have our Vizlib writeback table, and in here we have the artist name, the album title, the genre, and then the rating that we want to give it. I'm not going to show you today how to set up a Vizlib writeback table from start to finish. If you do want to see that, then leave me a comment down below, and let's see what we can do. If I get enough people requesting that, then I'll make a video on how to set up a writeback table from start to finish. So the only extra thing that I want to show you with this table that I've done is because if we go back to the data model, we'll see that in our Postgres database that we have a table called rating, and in this table there is album ID and then rating. Which then links back to the album itself. But if we look at the writeback table, album ID is not here. And what I have done is I've included the album ID as a column, but I've hidden it. So if I go over to the columns, I'll see album ID, and then in here I have the display show column 0. That's purely because I need the data, so I need that album ID to come through, but I don't want to visually sort of clutter this table here and show that information. I'm going to show you some of the other configuration settings and things like that, but at the moment all I have here is sort of a basic table with these columns, and then the last one, this rating here, that is set to a star rating system. So once I have this table set up, now I actually want to go and define my Qlik Automations flow to actually work so that when I write back this data, that it will then go and store this into a Postgres database for me. So let's go have a look at the Qlik Automations flow. Here it is. It is pretty straightforward. Literally, we've got a loop, and then we've got an upsert into a Postgres database. So with the loop, that's just a basic block over here. Again, if you want me to take you through more in-depth Qlik automation and how it works and how to set it up in that, leave me a comment down below, and the more requests I get, I'll make a video then around Qlik Automations itself. But what we're using is a loop. That's from the basic side. Then I've also gone and set up a Postgres connection to my Postgres database that I have, and I've picked the upsert option. Now, the reason why there is a loop here is if we go back to the table here, it's obviously based of, or made up of a whole bunch of rows. Now, what Vizlib will do when you hit write back data is it will send that data in the post body as a list. And what you want to do is you actually want to grab each of those list items. So what it's going to do is it's going to loop through each of the list items and send that through to Postgres here. And in Postgres, so we need to define what table it needs to be sent to. And in this case, we're sending it to the ratings table. I might change my mind later on, and today I give a 4-star rating, and tomorrow I actually give a 2-star rating to that same album. And I want that to obviously be overwritten. I don't want to store new records every single time. Hence, I'm using the upsert record here. But what we also need to keep in mind is to accomplish this, we need to make album ID a primary key. But in this upsert, we need to say, what are we looking for? So what is that primary key in the where clause that we're looking for that we want to overwrite the values? If it exists. And obviously if it doesn't exist, then it's going to insert the new records. So what we can do based off the loop, we can say that on the loop, that item, we're looking for the album ID, that's our where clause. And what are we inserting now? So we are inserting the album ID, and we're picking that from the loop item album ID, and we're also inserting the rating. So once again from the loop item and rating. Once you have that set up, what you need, one last thing for Vizlib to be able to write this information or to be able to interact with it, is if we go back to the start node, you'll see that the run mode is set to triggered. And I'm also telling this to run asynchronously. And that's because there could be multiple people coming in at the same time who want to write that information. So we're not sort of disrupting the flow. We can write that data asynchronously through. But what we need for Vizlib in order to write this data is this webhook URL. And it's awesome that Qlik provides this information here. So after you've set that up, what you're going to need is you're going to need this URL right here. So this is our post URL required in Vizlib. And then we're also going to define this header as well, this execution token here, so that it can actually successfully authenticate and then write that information, or start this process, should I say. So let me head on over back to the Vizlib table here. If I go to edit sheet, and I go back to write back settings, destination, set to rest. And you'll see here, here's that URL that I was speaking of before. So we copy the URL, paste that in here. And then if we scroll down a bit, we'll see that it's a post. We're sending JSON. We're sending the payload as an array. And we're doing some pagination as well. And then here we define the headers. So you're going to add a header, and then you're going to add the header name, which is X execution token, and then the value, which is that value taken from this section over here. Once you've set that up, now I can go ahead and let's go and look for a specific genre. So I'm going to go ahead and look for rock. And let's have a look at this table. So here we go. We've got some Aerosmith, big ones. Yeah, I like that album. It's like a 3-star rating for me. Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill. Probably one of my favorite albums. Was the first album I actually ever got as a kid. So I'm going to give that a 5-star. Audio Slave, love them. I'm going to give that 5 stars. Let's go down a little bit further here. What do we got? Faith No More. I like them a lot. Wasn't too keen on the album, but I'll give that a 3-star. Foo Fighters, love them as well. So In Your Honor, disc 1 and 2. I did prefer disc 1 more than I did disc 2, to be honest. The shape of the color and the shape. Love that album as well. One of my favorite albums that there is. But now I've gone and assigned this rating to each of these albums here and the respective artist. So I'm going to go and write that data back. And that's it. It's going to be reloading the application. And then we're going to just be returned back with those actual ratings that's been defined. See, saving the application, loading the data. And now this ratings data is a part of the data model. So if we go back over to the data model viewer here, click on ratings, preview, we'll see, there we go, album ID, and then the ratings that we defined. So, I mean, that was pretty damn simple. So, I mean, as simple as that is to add sort of extra data to data that you're already pulling in, and then not obviously overwriting or adding that data into a source, back into that source database, but actually adding it to a separate database for you as well. But it really is as simple as that, which is absolutely awesome. And it's great that Qlik has given us this feature, this Qlik Automations. So let's go ahead and recap what we've done. You know, with this, I've shown you how you can take the Vizlib writeback table object, connect that to a REST source, and that REST source being a Qlik Automations flow, and then taking that flow, actually looping through that data, and then storing that data into a Postgres database for us to then use back into the application afterwards. Of course, what you saw when we reloaded the application, it took a little while to refresh in that. If I really wanted to improve things, then I would take the ratings data or the ratings table and add that as a partial reload, so that all it needs to do is update the ratings data to improve that reload time for my end users. But I mean, in this example, just straightforward, you see what you have there. Like I said, there will be a link in the description below with the sample files that you can use to follow along and actually do this yourself then. What you will require is obviously a Qlik SaaS license and just a Postgres database to go and upload the sample data to. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch my video. I would really appreciate it if you drop a comment down below, give us a like, subscribe to the channel to see any more tips and tricks that are going to come along. But until then, take it easy until next time. Thanks. Bye.